The future of AI sales, outsourcing trends. AI just changed what sales outsourcing means. Sales outsourcing used to mean renting effort, a cold calling team, a script, and enough dials to hit an activity target. Today, AI has turned outbound into a system where targeting, personalization, sequencing, and reporting can all be automated and optimized. That shift is why the bar for any outsourced sales team has moved from can they grind to can they operate an AI-augmented revenue engine. In 2024 to 2025, AI went from optional to expected in go-to-market. Roughly 89% of revenue organizations now use AI-powered tools, and B2B sellers who effectively partner with AI are 3.7 times more likely to meet quota than those who don't. In practical terms, a cold email agency or SDR agency that isn't deeply AI-enabled will struggle to compete on speed, relevance, and learning loops. At the same time, the outsourcing market is expanding because building an in-house outbound machine is expensive and operationally heavy. The outsourced SDR services market is estimated at $2.29 billion in 2024 and projected to reach $5.8 billion by 2035. And the broader B2B sales outsourcing services market is estimated around $105.39 billion in 2024. The takeaway for operators is simple. AI is reshaping sales outsourcing, and the winners will be the teams that combine strong strategy with scalable execution. Why AI plus outsourcing is accelerating now. The economic case for AI in sales is hard to ignore. McKinsey estimates generative AI could unlock $0.8 to $1.2 trillion in additional annual productivity in sales and marketing, much of it tied to prospecting, content generation, and lead management. When budgets tighten, leaders look for leverage, and AI-enabled sales outsourcing is leverage you can deploy faster than building internally. Adoption is also becoming mainstream inside revenue teams, which raises expectations for any outbound sales agency you hire. HubSpot reported AI adoption among sales teams hit 43% in 2024, and 87% of salespeople said AI helped them use their CRM more effectively. That matters because outsourced output only becomes valuable when it lands cleanly in your pipeline with consistent fields, stages, and outcomes. Finally, enablement leaders are treating AI as table stakes, not experimentation. In a 2025 Revenue Enablement Survey summary, 100% of surveyed B2B enablement leaders reported using generative AI across sales, marketing, or customer success, with many reporting shorter sales cycles and higher revenue. When everyone is adopting, your differentiator becomes execution quality, the workflows, governance, and measurement that turn AI plus cold calling services into pipeline, not noise. Outsource the AI stack, not just the headcount. A common mistake is hiring bodies on seats and assuming your team will bolt on AI later. In reality, the highest performing models treat a sales development agency like a managed system. People plus platform plus playbooks. That's why we recommend evaluating a provider's AI stack the same way you'd evaluate their reps, because the stack determines speed to launch, consistency, and scalability. Ask operational questions that reveal whether AI is truly embedded in daily SDR behavior. Can they run AI-assisted list enrichment and data validation, use AI to generate persona-specific angles, and interpret AI-driven lead scores to prioritize outreach? This matters because 65% of B2B sales teams now use AI to guide outreach strategy, and 59% use AI-driven lead scoring. So a modern SDR agency should already have these loops built into targeting and sequencing. The second common mistake is buying headcount from one vendor and AI tools from another with no integration plan. That creates duplicated work, inconsistent data, and tool soup that SDRs quietly ignore under pressure. If you do split vendors, make one system, usually your CRM, the source of truth, and design every handoff, field mapping, and QA checkpoint around it. How AI rewires the SDR workflow in practice. AI touches every part of outbound, but it's most valuable where human time is scarce: research, personalization, prioritization, and rapid iteration. For many teams, that means AI improves list-building services by enriching contacts at scale, validating deliverability signals, and inferring fit based on firmographic and technographic patterns. When that work is outsourced, you're not just saving hours, you're buying a repeatable process that can be measured and improved. Personalization is the next step change, especially for cold email agency programs and LinkedIn outreach services that need relevance without sacrificing volume. Done well, AI can scan a prospect's website, role, and recent activity to generate a tight hook that aligns to your value prop. Then, a human SDR applies judgment and edits for tone. This is also where brand risk lives, so the rule is straightforward. AI drafts, humans approve, and QA is non-negotiable for high ACV segments. Calls are evolving too, which matters for any cold calling agency or B2B cold calling services partner you consider. AI can summarize calls, flag objections, and surface coaching insights, but it can't replace the moment-to-moment judgment that earns trust and secures a meeting. The best model is human SDRs on top of an AI engine, whether those SDRs sit in-house or inside an outsourced pod. AI doesn't win deals by itself. It wins when your process turns better targeting and better messages into better conversations. What to measure? Pipeline, not vanity metrics. AI makes it easy to scale activity, which is exactly why activity is a dangerous KPI. If your vendor reports only dials, sends, or opens, you can end up paying for faster spam that burns domains and wastes AE time. The performance contract needs to focus on qualified meetings, opportunity rate, and pipeline created, especially when you outsource sales development and want predictable revenue impact. We like to start with a 90-day pilot and benchmark it against internal performance using a small, clearly defined ICP. You should be able to compare cost per qualified meeting, meeting to opportunity conversion, and early pipeline influence across segments and channels. The table below is a practical way to structure that scorecard, so the outsource team and your internal RevOps team are working from the same definitions. When you measure the right things, AI becomes an accelerator instead of a distraction. It also protects you from the cheapest seat trap, where a low-cost, outsourced sales team looks attractive until you realize the downstream pipeline quality is poor and AE time becomes the hidden cost. Hold the provider accountable to revenue outcomes, and you'll quickly learn whether their sophistication is real or cosmetic. Governance, compliance, and brand control in AI outreach. One of the biggest failure modes we see is letting AI generate outreach copy without guardrails. Unreviewed AI messaging can drift off brand voice, invent claims, or create compliance exposure, especially as you scale telemarketing, cold call services, and outbound email simultaneously. Governance is what turns AI from a risk into a competitive advantage. Set explicit rules with your outsourcing partner on data usage, prompt structure, template approval, and deliverability practices. If you operate in regulated or privacy-sensitive markets, confirm how they handle GDPR, CCPA alignment, opt-outs, and data retention, and ensure those policies match your internal standards. This is also where tight CRM integration matters. The system should capture consent signals, dispositions, and outcomes in a way your team can audit. Change management is the hidden governance layer that most teams ignore. If an outbound sales agency suddenly increases meeting volume, AEs can get overwhelmed and push back on lead quality, even if the meetings are solid. Align SLAs, define handoff rules, and run a weekly feedback loop so your internal team and the outsourced SDRs iterate together instead of blaming each other. Operational best practices, blended teams, and clean data. The most effective AI-powered outsourcing models blend US-based strategy with cost-effective global execution. Senior strategists shape ICP tiers, messaging pillars, qualification criteria, and AI workflows, while global SDR pods execute across channels at scale with AI assistance. This structure keeps quality high while reducing cost per opportunity, especially for teams looking to hire SDRs without adding permanent headcount. Before you add any new cold calling companies or tools, audit how leads flow today, from list build to enrichment to sequencing to meeting handoff. That audit is where you discover the friction that kills ROI, like inconsistent fields, missing outcomes, or a dialer that doesn't sync dispositions back to the CRM. Standardize your data model first, then integrate the partner's platform so outsourced and in-house performance can be compared in the same dashboards. If you want a practical starting point, pick one segment and one motion and run it end-to-end with clear definitions. For example, a phone plus email pod that combines B2B cold calling and cold email can outperform channel-siloed programs because it creates more at-bats per account while still staying coordinated. The goal isn't to do everything. It's to create a repeatable pod model you can scale once the numbers prove out. The future. Managed AI sales pods become the default. Over the next 3 to 5 years, we expect buyers to shift from purchasing individual services to purchasing outcomes from managed pods. That means the best cold calling services won't be defined by dials per day, but by how intelligently the system prioritizes accounts, personalizes messages, and learns across campaigns. In that world, an outsourced SDR partner is less like a vendor and more like an extension of your revenue operations. From our perspective at SalesHive, this is where a modern B2B sales agency has to operate. People plus proprietary workflow automation connected to your CRM with quality control baked in. When AI is embedded correctly, it helps SDRs move faster without sounding robotic, and it helps leaders see which plays actually create pipeline. The competitiveness gap will widen between teams that treat AI as tools and teams that treat AI as infrastructure. If you're deciding what to build in-house versus outsource sales development, start small but intentional. Pilot an AI-augmented outsourced pod, hold it to pipeline metrics, and iterate weekly on ICP, messaging, and QA rules. When you see consistent meetings and clean data flowing into the CRM, you'll know you've built an outbound engine that can scale without sacrificing brand trust.